It's been a while, so what's changed? New sceneries, changed sceneries, new enemies, UI. But before we get into it, I thought I'd talk to you guys before we get onto the development part. My laptop got stolen recently, so I lost a bit of progress. But not to worry, I didn't get set back too far. I've also just been on a new part of development with this game recently. I did a lot of game planning rather than just pure coding and hardcore game development. You see, when you make games, it's not all about making this character look cool, or coding, or any of that stuff. Games of this scale need large amounts of planning. So that's what I did. I got to writing down presentations of things like jobs, storyline, map level design. On the topic of maps, I found some environments that will be used in the game. I won't show you too much though, because I don't want to reveal absolute everything. By the way guys, make sure you join the Discord. I am very active over there and I share a lot of my progress. And if you're a Patreon member, you will get early content and files of my game for you to test via Discord. Anyways, time for the real stuff. So we left off at making the melee enemy. There are 5 different types of them currently. The dodger, the axe thrower, the tank, the unarmed one, and just a regular one. Since the last video, I've just polished them and gave them a selection of weapons, but it's about time we move on to something new. New enemy type, the ranged enemy. As of right now, I'm working on an extension to it, which is it being able to throw a grenade, but it's not really working that well right now. So I guess it kind of works now, at least for me to move on to another extension to the enemy, which is making it so that the enemy finds the closest cover to itself when the player is nearby. But this also doesn't really work properly yet. So whilst I was working on the ranged enemy, I started working on one of the bosses. Then I made it look cooler, gave it a jump attack, added in a flamethrower ability, which is the coolest thing I've done so far. And then I made a new boss that carries a scythe and has a different sort of attacking style. I then switched to working in Photoshop for my UI weapon art. Then I implemented the art from Photoshop into the game and hooked it up to some UI, and it seems to be working pretty good right now. I also added in a little health bar for the player. Afterwards, I decided to make a very basic car that you could ride around in. Then I polished it and added in a drift and some new car models. And some more polishing, including adding in sound effects for the car. But not just for the car, the guns, the enemies, and the footsteps. I even made a small options menu where you can adjust these sounds to the volume you'd like. As I was working on that, I went and tested the enemies, and for some reason they decided to stop moving.
I don't think you have any idea how fast I really am.
And as I was fixing that, I was also reworking the ranged enemy so that it strafed when shooting instead of standing completely still. I made that work kind of, but I just don't like how the animation makes it look like he's always running forward. So then I reanimated the enemy's movement. I also got the enemy that finds cover during combat working all nicely, which can be mixed with enemies that throw grenades at you too, making their combat just overall more challenging. Now, something you might have been waiting for, the new environments. I will only show you this one in this video as there will be much more to come in the next ones. So this will be the more expensive side of this game, where higher paying jobs will be, where different jobs will take place, different missions, like for example a bank robbery inside of this casino, or perhaps you can buy yourself a luxury rooftop apartment and host parties there. I don't want to talk too much about this, otherwise I feel like I'll be spoiling the game too much for you guys. So to be honest, that's roughly it. I spent a lot of time recently finalizing combat, adding in small things, polishing major stuff, but I've reached the end of a certain stage of this development. Of course there are still small things to be done with the combat, but as of right now I will be moving on to a completely different side of development, with more serious things like jobs. I already have things planned out for this, and I'll be starting off with the evil jobs as soon as possible. Also guys, this game is still somewhat in early development, so let me know what you'd like to see in the game. I'm still a bit indecisive on how the job should work and things like that, so feel free to drop your ideas down below. Also, I'll be posting more often now, so stay tuned guys.